Good. Before we get started, I wanted to send my condolences to Wilson Alexander about Elise. Wilson was the first one of all of you that I got to meet when I came to Baton Rouge, and a ton of respect for him and heartbroken for him and his family. She was awesome, got a chance to meet her, but wanted him to know that we're thinking of him. So, as far as fall baseball, excited to get going with this team. We've had a good 6.5, 7 weeks of skill instruction, individual work, 8-hour weeks. Now moving into the team phase, we have a lot to do, and not ready to play a game yet by any stretch, but we'll go through our deal of getting prepared to play a game, and that'll take until February 13th. So excited to get out there and put in all of our system process and get to see players and competing, and got a lot of good days ahead. We'll typically go 5 days a week from this point forward. Off days will shift a little bit based on what's best for the team and home football schedule, that type of deal. And November, very competitive. We'll go to Biloxi, do the deal with Samford again, which was great for our team last year. Play an inter-squad scrimmage over there, so make a weekend out of that. Going to head over to southeastern Louisiana. Had a great season last year. They recruited really well, so that'll be a good barometer for our team. Have the Jamie Tutko versus Chief World Series, third week of November. That'll be good. Weekend of November, and then we'll finish up with the Purple Gold. So really excited to get going and go for it.
You guys did such a good job of building the team. I don't mean from the performance type perspective. I guess just what have you learned over the years, and how critical is fall ball as far as getting those guys to know each other, trust each other, love each other?
Yeah, I've always felt like you have to be intentional about helping them become good teammates as much as you do making them a good pitcher, good hitter, good defensive player. So we'll continue to do that. I think time together, experience, shared experience, both positive to build confidence within the group together, and adversity to build, togetherness and toughness and resiliency, all those kinds of things. So I don't expect it to be like at an elite level today. I expect it to get better as we go through those shared experiences. And I think I really value this time, and I really value the time leading into the season, because we're moving out of like this small group individual development work to building that. And they all know it's important here, but you can't quite get to moving on it the way you want to till we're all together. So I'm excited we're starting that today.
With 3 returning starting outfielders, will there be any sort of positional shakeup there?
Yeah.
Derek play center field?
Yeah, he's the plan is for him to play center field, and that was always the plan, and it was put in place, frankly, because I'm shocked that Chris is back. A lot of people throughout the season were telling me last year that he would be back. I completely disagreed with that because of the type of season that he had last year and everything he brings to the table as a quality player. But this was a plan of a long time ago, and so what a blessing for us. We did a little bit of a simulated coach pitch scrimmage the other day, or machine scrimmage, and a ball was blasted into left center, and he caught it at the fence, and it looked like he was yawning, and he ran about 50 yards to make the play. So obviously excited to have Jake Brown can play center field. Jake Brown has played center field here before, so to have 3 really good defensive outfielders was a big benefit last year, in that national championship season, and excited to have them all back and some good new ones as well.
And so this is not just we're trying this out in fall.
No, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah,
okay. That's what we're going to do.
And did Chris know about this when he decided to come back?
Talked about it immediately, and his response was, "I'm good with whatever you're good with," and I kind of figured that is actually what he said to me. He's a phenomenal human being. All these updates with, there's a nice video going over there of a dog pile from that deal. That didn't happen without those guys being great players, and Chris was. I think at one point he was leading the SEC in doubles, and the great defense he played, huge hit in the championship game. But he's a better person than player, and that's a common theme of what we're trying to do here.
How about a trip to the White House?
Yeah, we're close, but there's still some engaging things between officials up there and LSU people, and then we should have an announcement on that pretty soon.
Any injuries, Coach? You guys avoided it?
Yeah, Jonah Ossie is a freshman. He will not play this year, most likely. But that's the only one at this point relative to the structure of the fall with pitching. We have guys on different timelines. So there's some guys that won't pitch the first 2 weekends of this, and they'll start in the third weekend. There's guys that will start in November and just have a little bit shorter fall window. We always do it at this time for a very specific reason, but you still have to go back and look at each guy at what's best for them. And so we've kind of staggered the pitching a little bit for a few guys. And so just so nobody's alarmed when somebody doesn't pitch in the first couple weeks. Other than Jonah, we're in a pretty good spot right now.
It's like Gavin the other day. He put on some weight. Obviously, that looked really good on him. I guess just where is he at? What are your expectations?
Yeah, he's looked great. It was fun watching him play catch. This was about a week ago, move like he used to. Like the old shortstop. He's kind of shuffling and throwing with great intent behind the ball. Kind of reminded me of the first time I saw Kevin Gausman playing catch out here. And the first time I saw Kevin Gausman playing catch out here was the fall of my first year. I was like, I'm not sure who that is yet, but that's not one of our pitchers right now. But what an athlete, and congratulations to him and the Blue Jays. It'll be fun. I'm sure he's pitching game 1, so that'll be awesome. But he's moving like that. He is one of those pitchers we're staggering because we don't want to stop him once we start him. And kind of the target date for him in scrimmages is right around the 1st of November, maybe the end of October, 1st of November. And then he'll throw either 3 or 4 times competitively, and then we'll move into that period between that and gearing up for the season.
Everything feels good, though?
Yes, yeah.
I want to talk about Maverick Rizzi. How do you think he's going to take that next step heading into the season?
Well, I believe in him a lot. He led the team in appearances last year, which is a really good accomplishment for a freshman on a national championship team. And part of the reason that happened was because I believe in him so much that if we just kept putting him out there, that we would get to the point that we're getting. And so he got a tremendous amount of experience last year. I think finish out a super regional game at home, was an awesome deal for him, pitching in the regionals, and had him up in the bullpen a couple times in Omaha. And I have great belief in him. He just moves like he should in terms of how he's taken his work. He'll be one of the first guys going out there today. And excited about Maverick. And if this team reaches his potential, we'll point to the fact that he's on our team and keeps progressing like we think he's going to.
We're going to talk to Derek and Kaysen here in a few minutes. Obviously, they were right at the center of what you guys did as true freshmen. Just what do you think that experience maybe does for their growth this year, and maybe talk about some of the leadership, maybe responsibilities they've taken on with this team?
Yeah, I think first off, they're as impactful of freshman players as you can have at a place like this or for a national championship team. I think it was maybe a underlying story, the impact of that class on a national championship team. I think you documented it a couple times, and it's good work by you. As far as Kaysen, he's just the competitiveness, like the getting himself ready to win constantly, the poise in the biggest moments of the game. Like, that's something you can point to for all the young pitchers and go, like, this is how we want to do it. With Derek, he's a highly motivated player and wants to be the best that he can be. And in the same vein, that's who you want up, with runners on base. I think a sign of a great hitter is always, do they take the same at-bats with runners on base and in scoring position as when nobody's on base or in a low-leverage situation, and he clearly does that. And, he's obviously a very confident player, has the respect of his teammates because of how hard he plays and how competitive he is. neither of them are maybe over the top outgoing, but they do the right things. So when they speak, their teammates listen, and some of that will advance more as we get together collectively. But I was talking to a recruit the other day, and we're excited that it's a verbal commitment, whatever that means. But it was one of those, you get like such a good gut feeling because you know what the impact could be. It's like I felt when we got those guys, and I was right, in that regard. And so happy they're here, and so happy they're on this team this year.
What stands out the most to you about this freshman class? I mean, we haven't gotten to see them play yet, but as far as intangibles, mentally, how they carry themselves, what stands out to you the most?
I'll be able to answer that question a lot better in 3 to 5 to 6, 7 weeks' time. I think the raw talent, it's not a big group. It's only 8 of them that are able to play this year. So the quality is over the quantity. I think when you're looking on the mound, those 3 guys have thrown the ball really well so far in the bullpens on the field, and 1 session of live at-bats. Marcos Paz, very fortunate that he had an injury, and I don't mean to sound like that, but if he didn't have an injury, he would not be at LSU right now. Very much like Cade Anderson. So we're excited about him. Again, we're segmenting him because of coming off of the Tommy John surgery a little bit later. You won't see him for a couple weeks in terms of the competitive inter-squad games. I think he'll throw another bullpen this week. He'll throw live at bats next week, and then be in the third weekend of scrimmages. And Reagan Ricken, very talented. He was a really good high school quarterback also. So this is his first fall not playing football. And usually you get a good jump when guys put that sport down and can just train like a pitcher or a baseball player. So he's exciting. Zion Theophilus has thrown the ball really well in his his simulated game last week, and in the live bullpens has some good stuff. I think that's it on the pitching side. On the position player side, Omar Cerna, very fortunate to get Omar. Very good catcher, very good hitter for both. I think he's going to be able to have the hitting tool and have power. Very engaged, very competitive. Mason Braun is another freshman that we really, really like a lot. Outfielder, first baseman, mostly outfielder, left-handed hitter. Think he's going to have a good career here. I think you can kind of see it. Ethan Claus, infielder, has really improved in the month and a half that he's been here. He's done a great job with Chris Martin, got strong. And then Jack Ruckert, very steady player from Catholic, one of those guys that you can tell will do all the small things well, and winning caliber player. And then William Patrick is maybe the best athlete on the team. He runs like a 6'3", 60-yard dash, can really go get the ball in the outfield, and lot to work with there. So small in numbers, but I think we got some really good quality out of it.
Daniel Harden, Chase Dover, a couple of names that people around here are familiar with.
Yeah, Daniel Harden transferred from McLennan. He had also played at Catholic. Hits the ball incredibly hard in a batting practice setting. We just did some simulated defense stuff, moves around well in the outfield. Had a good season at McLennan last year. I'm excited to see him against high caliber pitching and see what kind of the next steps we take there. Seth Dardar transferred from Kansas State. His tryout, I guess, was hitting a homer off Cade Anderson and a double off Kason Evans. And, we were in the super regionals, like when he went in the portal, and Coach Jordan and Simpson came down and was like, hey, Dardar went in the portal. And I mean, that was so long ago. I was like, who's Dardar? And it just wasn't on my brain. Going to Omaha was on my brain at the time. And then they flipped on the video of him hitting the ball into the waterfall in Frisco, and then backside double against Evans. It's like, well, let's go ahead and get him over here as fast as we can.
Have they been able to articulate what it means to them to be back here and playing here?
If their efforts in terms of how they work reflect what it means to them, then it means a lot to them, and you love to see that.
What's John Pearson's physical progression coming along?
He's doing great. He hits the ball really hard as he did. He's going to be the first batter of the fall today. He's leading off for his team. I told him that like 3 weeks ago. And I wouldn't read too much into who's playing where and what at this point in time. I don't really stagger it for anything other than what do we want to see developmentally for the team. But I think he's on the right things to become the best player he can be. And if he's the best player he can be consistently, he'll be a real impact player for our team. Physically, he's in a really good spot right now. You'll see him move around the infield. Maybe not short, but the other three, he'll play at all the other three spots.
What did you want to see from Derek last season in left field to make sure, okay, he's ready to move to center field now?
Well, I knew he was ready last year. I made the decision not to because it's a heavy lift to come into this program in this league and bat first or second in 67 of the 69 games, run the bases aggressively, impact the game in all phases. That I just decided that would be a little bit something I wanted to take off his plate because I knew we needed so much out of the other parts of his game, knowing he's a elite defensive center fielder. I believe it was Alabama, one of those games he made a running catch up against the fence for the last out. And then I believe we're in Biloxi, actually. He made a sliding catch on the warning track in center field. So this wasn't a question whether he could or he couldn't do it. I just made a decision of what I thought was best for him and our team.
What do you think is like kind of his ultimate strength as a defensive outfielder? Kind of being
Baseball. I mean, he's played 1 billion games in his life. He's a very polished player. And just thankful that, we get to see all those. Like exactly what I thought he would be is what he is. And highly motivated to take the next step, stronger. He's put on about 17 pounds, I think, 19 probably. I'll err on the high side because he'll correct me if I'm shorting him, and maybe it's up to 20. By the time of this interview, I was gone yesterday, so I didn't see him yesterday. But I'm very comfortable with that, and what a luxury, like I said, to have 3 good outfielders like that.
You've been really, I guess, blessed, I'd say, to have a lot of vocal senior leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think that component's going to come from this year?
To be determined. I will say Jake Brown is somebody that, in my opinion, has stepped to the forefront. Cooper Williams on the pitching side, even though it's not necessarily his personality, but very intelligent and knows the importance of that. I like how all the players that were here last year are transitioning from last year to this year and re-engaging in everything that it takes to be really good without me having to say a whole lot and in regards to that. And that will be tested. I mean, where we're at with that as we go through the next 7 weeks or 6.5 weeks.
From a rotation standpoint, as you guys start
Mm-hmm.
fall practice, what's a number in your head of guys that you guys really want to evaluate over these next coming weeks?
Could be 6, could be 10, 8 maybe. We'll run some different guys out there at the beginning of scrimmages at times. Like I said, it's Cooper and Maverick today. We only have 4 innings today because, like I said, we're holding a few guys back for a couple weeks and a couple guys maybe even a little longer than that. And then we'll go 6 innings on Friday. And then we'll go 5 or 6 depending on Friday. And then we'll go 6 innings on Sunday. I think there's more candidates on this team. Obviously the way those 2 guys threw the ball last year was incredible. I mean, those are top 10 pitching seasons at LSU in LSU history, both of them. And think about what I just said; it's amazing. So I'm not looking for anybody to have to go out and do that, but I do think we got some guys that can really advance themselves, and we need to see. And I'm not afraid to do the pitching completely differently if that's what's best for our team, and I'm really excited about that part of the fall. And they're going to get tested because we have a lot of college at-bats on this team, which is really exciting. So the pitchers are going to get tested.
Zach York looks like he'll be somebody that's probably going to be wildly popular here. I guess what's his personality like, and how does he fit into what you want to do?
Well, I think he's a terrific hitter in terms of strike zone discipline, shortness of swing, has power but doesn't have to sell out to the power to get to it, which that's what best hitters do. Good defensive first baseman, baseball guy. I mean, I've known him for a long time because of recruiting Nick at Arizona. And so just really thankful he's here. He'll be a really good lift to our team in all ways.
What are you looking for from Schmidt this fall to continue his development?
Yeah, he's doing great. I was watching the Blue Jays-Yankees Game 2 the other day, and Trey Yasevich was just dominating the Yankees lineup. And I texted him immediately. I was like, hey, I hope you're watching this because you can do this. Like, you can do this just like this dude. And he's been great with the stuff we've done on the field. We're trying we're trying to move his arsenal forward a little bit in terms of some different things that I'm looking forward to get into some game settings to do that. And I like how he's moving right now.
I know you can't speak on specifics, but just in general terms, you guys are on a real recruiting heater here over the first several weeks of fall. When you look at kind of the success you guys have had last 3 years in particular, how much of that is the pitch to these guys? Like, it's development, it's the brand. Like, what kind of mix do you guys like to use in those?
That's a good question. I think it's different for every player. Sometimes it's relationship. You know, do you have a great relationship with the player coach aspect? Like, there's guys on our team that's why they came here, was because of that. Then you have the whole LSU thing. The competitor wants to play in this environment where you have a chance to compete, to go to Omaha, win championships, have 13,000 people cheering you on, you know, in a postseason game. You have development. I mean, they're not allowed in the door if they don't want to play beyond here, because you have to have that burning desire to become the best that you can become to thrive in this dynamic of a program that we have going. So I think it just depends on the player. And we're very fortunate that it is LSU, and there's so many good things that you can tie to that player, but it has to be about like that player, and feel good about how that's going right now.
Pitching-wise, would it be fair to characterize your group as a lot of guys who are proven at getting through the order once, or getting through 2 or 3 innings, or at least an inning, but is the next step of development for a lot of guys is just like, how can we get these guys to 6 innings where they could potentially be a starter, or get them to twice through the order?
Maybe. I think, you know, that's a challenge for anybody that's pitching at this level, because if they could easily do it right out the gate, they probably wouldn't be here. As a matter of fact, I don't think at least since I've been here, I don't know that there's been a dominant freshman starting pitcher in the SEC on any team. So I feel like what we have to do with him is very natural in that next progression. You have a better chance of success when you can get a couple guys or 3 guys a weekend to be able to do that. There's no question about that. And we'll certainly try to move guys towards that. That's ideal. I mean, we won 40 games with the starter going an inning and 2/3 several times in 2022. So if it has to be done that way, it has to be done that way. I talked about this before. Like, one year at Nevada, like, we had 6 pitchers, 3 righties, 3 lefties, and just depended on how the opposing lineup looked, depended on who started that weekend. And so not afraid to do it outside the box, but yes, that would be amazing if we can get 5 guys rolling through the order 2.5 and 3 times. Really hard to do in college baseball. And I think some guys, you know, mentioned advancing. William, to your question, that's part of that, you know, is to set them up for the success to do that.
What does it mean to have Steven back and have that position settled, not only for Steven, but for the rest of the team?
It helps a lot. You know, it's really hard to get a complete player shortstop, meaning can make a real positive contribution on offense and defense, because those are hard to find, and pro baseball teams scoop them up quickly. So it's the hardest position to get an impact player on both sides of the ball, and he's obviously done that with his clutch hitting in the postseason. And then an outstanding defensive season last year. Like, I think he had 5 errors and played every game there. That's really good. That's really, really good. If you get through a big league season with less than 15, that's amazing, and that's about what he was on pace for. And total credit to him. I think it certainly helps because the other 3 guys are gone, and so we have some really good options at those 3 spots. It's going to take a lot of sorting out, and so in a good way, in terms of what we have, but to not really have to think about that one right now that's good. I like that.
Anything else for Jay?
Is the ring ceremony at this upcoming football game?
A&M, Texas A&M.
Thank you.
What time is that football game going to be at?
Probably a night game.
We'll see.
I guess. We
All
haven't,
right.
we haven't heard yet.
Probably it's the night slot, right?
It's the 2:30, 3:30, or 5 to 7 slot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Greg Sankey, give us the night game
Yeah.
so we can have a better baseball ring ceremony. That worked for Lane Kiffin, right? He was complaining about playing at Georgia or something like
Yeah.
that at night, and they made it a day game. So, Greg Sankey, Texas A&M, LSU, night football game so the baseball team can have an awesome ring ceremony.
All good with Jay?
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.